Alrighty, guys, welcome back. It's your boy EQ, and up next we have why Drake just quit rap for streaming and everyone hates him for it. Shout out to Fantastic Hip Hop for the video, and obviously the start of his new streaming career has definitely not fared very well. From the awkward stream with XQC, where we all saw his body language change after he asked for W's in the chat, only to be met with what I believe to be a chain of L's, which have been following him all year long. His latest stream entitled Drizm, which honestly sounds like a place I wouldn't want to be, was even worse with moments like him saying F Kendrick Lamar with no confidence at all. It kind of felt like he was calling on Candyman, to even calling Aiden Ross a baddie. So if you guys like watching cringy moments, seek no further. Aiden even called him the black guy in a pic sent in by a fan, to which he replied that that was the nicest thing he's heard all year. So guys, the bar is very low. And if that wasn't enough, he allegedly got banned from Kick after a rumored falling out with Stake, who shares ownership and many shareholders with Kick. And one of the factors may be that he told the viewers not to waste their money on gambling and Stake if they can't afford to lose it. Something to me that's very, very reasonable and sensible, but it's definitely not something the people over at Stake want to hear from their biggest spokesperson on a stream that they're sponsoring. No matter how many times they want to plaster gamble responsibly on their website and promotional materials, especially when they're using streamers to indoctrinate gambling to their demographics, which is obviously younger and honestly include a lot of kids. But enough dilly-dallying, let's jump right into the video entitled Why Drake Just Quit Rap for Streaming and Everyone Hates Him for It. And this year will be studied for generations.
Now, when it comes to Drake, the ending that his 2024 is getting has never spoken more volumes to where his career is at, because as during the holiday season, to celebrate this time of year, as Kendrick Lamar and his label did a toy drive and concert where his entire crew from him to SZA and everyone else in TDE played music for one of the most genuine purposes there is, and as a result of everything they were showing, it really symbolized.
Of course, the fact that Kendrick Lamar does this every year, and it obviously includes the community, I would most certainly say that Kendrick Lamar pulled off a better event, especially with Drake saying that Drizm was going to be a glaze fest.
How much of a unifying force hip-hop can be as a whole. Right around the same time as Kendrick showed how powerful hip-hop can be, Drake announced that he was teaming up with one of the most polarizing streamers on the planet, whose very essence and nature dispels what rap music was put into the cultural zeitgeist in the first place to represent, with none other than Aiden Ross. And
honestly, both those guys are two peas in a pod. Aiden in his own right is honestly one of the more volatile guys right now. A lot of the big time streamers don't really want to associate themselves at all with this guy, and they kind of always keep him at arm's length. I mean, even when they see him at like these big time events, they usually always ignore him and walk right past him while he looks on, obviously very awkwardly.
Making what Drake just did even worse. The entire purpose of it was to uplift a company that all it wants you to do is waste your hard-earned savings and get back pretty much nothing in return. And even while Drake was trying to garner up the best headlines he has had around his name in almost an entire year by giving back to people throughout this stream as well. Because of his own actions and behaviors, which again, for his age, just push immaturity to an entire new level, and then with Aiden Ross pushing him to say just about anything and also the chat. Overall, Drake just acted more unhinged than we have seen in quite some time. And because of all of this, Drake managed to end out this year, which has really went down as a turning point in his career for the worst way possible.
Of course, and he's also facing a major identity crisis, which is why he's trying to pull all these stunts. And these streams have not been working. I think he thinks he's going to easily transition. And if he thinks it's going to be an easy transition, don't forget that the culture is on the internet, guys.
Not exciting people for the future or making them nostalgic of the past when he was actually liked, but by reminding the world once and for all why he is on one of the biggest downfalls of all time. And now, before we get any further into how much of a mess Drake just made with this latest stream, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And so now, with this entire Drizm event, in a long list of moments this year that have already done nothing to help his image and have really only made him look worse at every chance possible, it really seems like Drake's holiday event was rightfully one of the biggest presents the rap world has gotten when it comes to witnessing just how much this guy has lost it in 2024, because
people are drawn to this type of stuff the same way that they're drawn to like watching a car crash as they drive past it and slowing down. And Drake has definitely supplied a lot of these awkward and very cringy moments. It's almost like he's the bully that finally got punched in the face and broke down.
Aside from the diss tracks and everything going on with his label and what he's accusing Not Like Us of doing, with Drake facing the public in a way and through a medium that is so directly in tune with the people, and then even more with the last stream he did with an even bigger audience this time, this has really been one of the most revealing moments in Drake's entire downfall, because beyond what his teams came up with on tracks or in lengthy written documents, We get to see Drake here for who he really is, and while being in these type of environments helps humanize some figures and make them a lot
It
more
made him look
likable,
more
for
lame.
Drake, with nearly every moment helped document Drake's entire downfall, because beyond what his teams came up with on tracks or in lengthy written documents, we get to see Drake here for who he really is, and while being
This made him a lot more lame to people that may have already thought he was already really lame.
in these type of environments helps humanize some figures and make them a lot more likable, for Drake, with nearly every moment on this stream, he managed to show that for those who are still in denial, so much of what Kendrick Lamar said about him is true, because Drake is spiraling to new levels that we have never seen. Because seriously, even in an event that from the way it was designed was clearly here to try and create strong positive headlines, as the
Of
whole
course.
purpose of this thing was a way for Drake and Aiden to give back to people in the time of the holidays.
Obviously, the streaming event was designed to build some good equity back, which they did do a little bit because they did give back to the fans. But I definitely do think that that was overshadowed with the fact that, yeah, man, the whole stream, he was showing how bothered he is by the whole beef and where it went and how he's being viewed right now. But he's not doing himself any favors when he's reacting to it in such a sassy and cringy way. It just honestly makes you out to look like a sore loser. At this point, he should just congratulate Kendrick, say that he loves his disses more than he loves his own, and keep it pushing. Because what he's doing has not been working at all. And when your strategy just keeps failing, at that point, bro, just do the opposite of what you would actually do. And maybe you'd catch some type of W, which this event was intended for, but obviously did not end up being.
Overall, from Drake and Aiden pushing the brand Stake, who put this entire thing together, which really, to get into that and how problematic Drake and Stake's relationship has been as a whole, needs its own video altogether. And then beyond this, to Drake mentioning something about all the rappers he is up against and then reminding people of his downfall over and over again. In every single way possible, Drake managed to pull himself further away from hip-hop culture than he ever has been by standing alongside someone like Aiden Ross, and in the midst of trying to win the public back, just continue to crash out and show that even after all of these months and all the ways he has tried to take down Kendrick Lamar's accomplishments, that he is not over what Kendrick has done to him, because on multiple occasions here, Drake made it a priority to not just mention what this year in hip-hop all meant, but of course to drag Kendrick into this in some way. And even when Drake did something like repeat Kendrick's lines from Euphoria about Drake and Sexy Red and how Drake sees himself when he's next to her, which of course was one of the funniest lines in the entire beef, just like when Drake said custard in a live stream chat and tried to jump on that viral moment from TV Off, or when he tried to rap over the BBL Drizzy beat. I don't know who is going to tell him that when he jumps on these viral moments from Kendrick Lamar, or that another one of his rivals did, that are dissing him or just spreading what they stand for against him as a whole, we are not laughing with Drake, but we are laughing at him. And from here, Drake's actions on this stream got far weirder and more revealing about where he is at in this time, because when reading a letter that was sent in by a fan, Drake was going through it line by line,
infamous
and when
moment.
he was reading it out loud, almost lost his entire mind because he realized he was about to start a whole other chapter to this rap beef with Kendrick by almost saying F Kendrick Lamar right on live stream, and again.
Nah, he did say F Kendrick Lamar, he just didn't say it with his chest. He said it with no confidence. And honestly, with how the beef went, the only way you would have had any type of like positive impact would have been by saying it with your chest, saying it confidently, if you're going to say it at all, which I don't recommend either, because this event should have been kept as a way to do good and get some goodwill back. But all they did was really turn it into like a cringy mess and allegedly severed ties with your biggest sponsorship.
And with this, well, Drake's reaction to almost saying this does seem genuine, and it really does show on so many levels that what Kendrick Lamar has done to this man's career has absolutely changed his entire personality. And from just a few months ago, from taunting Kendrick over and over again to drop and acting like he was not a worthy competitor, to now where he is almost jumping up like a cartoon character when he is about to just say his name. This really shows firsthand that Drake even knows he lost this beef, and that Kendrick Lamar really is the boogeyman of hip-hop like no one really has seen before.
No, I think he definitely knows that he lost the beef, even if he wants to tell people otherwise. Because Drake, you can lie to us, but you can't lie to yourself, man. You have to sit in that room with those thoughts. I just saw these as very sassy attempts, which is honestly in character, at trying to downplay Kendrick Lamar and throw some shade on him.
And besides reciting lines from Euphoria or seeing just how scared Drake really is of Kendrick, which seemingly was even further confirmed by the fact that Drake and his team made sure that words including Kendrick Lamar, not like us, and anything negative about Drake in general were muted in the chat, Drake managed to make this stream even weirder and further show us just how
they don't want a repeat of the XQC chat.
Bitter and distraught he is from this beef by when him and Aiden Ross were talking. And Aiden went on to say that he thinks rap is in a horrible place and that there's no artist dropping music right now and that the music that is out there is trash. And now, considering Aiden Ross's music taste and what he represents as
There's a lot of great music out there, guys.
a whole, first off, his hip-hop opinions just shouldn't be regarded with an ounce of seriousness altogether. But with what Drake said in response to this, he first said, "Let's not go there." And after saying that rap will never go away, which I guess is a good thing because he's not in denial about that, when he went to talk about this year in hip-hop, he referred to it by saying just it was a weird NBA season. Which now, with Drake not even being able
I would say a disastrous NBA season if you're going to try to use that analogy.
to address what type of year in hip-hop this has been straight on and having to use another analogy to get out his thoughts, really this just shows how much this year and everything that went down is sitting with him and just changing his entire personality and demeanor.
Yeah, he obviously thinks he's going to be able to snap back into it, and who knows, maybe he does. But right now, the culture has spoken. I feel like all the moves he's made since the beef have definitely tarnished his reputation, and people might forgive, but they definitely never forget.
Because seriously, to not even be able to get a sentence out about what this year has really represented just shows how Drake doesn't want to address the reality for what it is despite knowing it. But with Drake now sitting here and just looking at a year where he was involved in what at this point was the most watched and culturally important rap beef of not just this century, but really all time. And after everything that happened, all he has to say about this entire year which he was at the center at is that it was a weird NBA season. Overall, just shows how this man has given up on rewriting the narratives that were created from his own failure this year. And while Drake does allude to the fact that he does have plans for the future, he just seems so down about everything. And really, what's clear about the way the entire Drake brand is moving right now, from this stream and the one before this to brands he is working with and brands he is not, is that altogether we can see that Drake is really starting to disconnect from hip-hop as we know it. And while Drake is not done with music, as he says more stuff is on the way here, and he will surely rap again.
Of course.
Overall, when it comes to Drake being an active part in hip-hop culture, in terms of actually being a respected MC who is trying to just do anything.
Yeah, I feel like those days are over. He himself can see the impact that the beef had on the perception that people have of him. Right now, like I said earlier, the culture has definitely made their point. While there obviously still are Drake fans and Drake stans out there, and while his back catalog will still generate tons of money, yeah, it's not looking great for like the future releases and the future releases of the artists on his label. Like, what happens to the Party Next Door album? Does it even get any promo at this point because of what Drake's been doing, including the UMG legal action? I don't know.
To benefit what the genre stands for. It seems like Drake is going to be quitting on this entire part of what it means to be a rapper, and this is really going to have some shocking consequences on where
content with like the hip hop guys.
Because Drake is now turning his back on people who picked Kendrick to be the winner after losing their beef. While from Drake's end, this may make sense to tap in with streamers and their audiences who will like his immature antics and whatever music he makes that's an extension of that. While before even considering where Drake is going to go with all of that, and it seems like he is really going to try to start moving into the streaming space more and more, in this time where the field is getting bigger and his future as a rapper.
And this isn't his first foray into streaming. He's like called in on these streams, so he's done it a bit. But the thing is, with how his reputation is right now, bam, the culture themselves are directly on a lot of these platforms. And while you can mute chats that say Kendrick and other things that reference like the negative aspects of what's been going on, it's going to be really hard to silence it completely because the internet has a very ingenious and very creative way of coming up with new ways of saying the same thing.
Rapper is just looking worse. Altogether,
figure out an emoji that stands for Kendrick.
Drake removing himself from the space that made him who he is and has preserved his legacy for all of these years, whether for better and for worse, is really going to taint where he stands in the eyes of hip-hop forever. Because to disconnect your art from the very culture that it's built from sets a scary precedent as a whole, and even for someone as big as Drake. Who knows if when his music isn't seen as the cool thing by these streamers, but he is moving closer into being their competition, they will feel the same way about him, and who knows if Drake will even be able to pop for this audience that loves the immature stuff he makes if he no longer can access the top young talent in the industry from labels and all he is stuck with is his own talent. Which leaves him with himself and then people like Smiley, and if Smiley is one of your go-to guys,
it does not bode well for you if you're banking on Smiley right now.
Guys, I don't even have to say how bad that is. And so altogether, no matter with where Drake is going from here, the end of 2024 for him is really a moment where after over a decade of hiding and after months of finding out the truth of who Drake really is, now he is revealing to himself and the world just how immature he really is as a person, just how much he doesn't care about anything except for what he has to gain from a moment, because remember what the forces that put this event together in the first place were. And now with Drake ending out this year, which has been so symbolic in hip-hop, standing next to someone like Aiden Ross, As all of this is happening right in a time where Kendrick Lamar stood on stage with Absol and just regular people from where he's from, all to bring everyone together closer with the power of hip hop. And again, Drake is now aligning with people and forces who don't just not respect and represent what hip hop stands for at its most fundamental level, but just represent so much wrong with entertainment and where it's going as a whole.
Yeah, he's been aligning himself with some of the most toxic people in entertainment. So I really can't believe he's expecting a positive reception when it comes to appearing on any of these streams. Obviously, Aiden Ross has a big viewer base, but people don't respect him. He even had Playboy Cardi walk off the set with his money after like 10 minutes and saying like 3 words. And Aiden's not the first toxic person he's been linked to. For like the whole year, he's only really been cheerleadered by probably the most toxic people in the culture, like academics or OV Mall. And you would think an artist that has been around for as long as Drake, that honestly has had media training, would know how to guide himself through like PR nightmares like this. But I don't think he's really learned too much. And right now, he's just digging into probably something that maybe would have worked when he was the top guy. But you being sassy now just gets looked at as super cringe, fam.
Overall, it's now very clear
And that you're
Drake
very
has made his
bothered.
choice about where he wants to go from this point on in his career, and no matter what, he is now going to have to live with the consequences, no matter where he ends up. And so now with all this said, let me know, what did you think about Drizm and everything Drake just did, and where do you think all of this is going to go from here? Now, I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and if you made it to this point in the video,
Yeah, man, Drizm was probably the worst name you could have used for your event. I don't know who greenlit that name, but Drizm just sounds nasty, fam. And it's just another L in what has seemed to be a never-ending run of L's from Drake this year. Teaming up with somebody like Aiden Ross was already questionable from the jump, but the fact that you took this event that was literally designed to bring in goodwill and to bring some joy to people, you just used to really, like how you said, blaze yourself, which takes away any of the good equity you would have built. And while you got your wish for having clips go viral, they were obviously for the wrong reasons. And with him potentially severing ties with his biggest sponsor, maybe he's regretting this stream right now. But the fact that he allegedly called this a Ponzi scheme, he's crossing a lot of lines that maybe he shouldn't have crossed, because a lot of the things he's calling out, he's allegedly participated in. So if the feds start investigating and they come to find out that Stake was reimbursing Drake for some of these huge wagers because he was making bets in the sums of millions, they find out that, yeah, man, this is jail time for all you guys. But definitely let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about the start of Drake's new streaming career? Do you guys think it's going well so far? I would have to say otherwise. I mean, the dude has already been banned off his first platform after streaming for like 3 days. You know what I mean? So it's not looking very well for him. And if he thinks he's going to silence the people online saying crazy stuff, they're just going to figure out a new way of saying things, because you can't silence these people. So unless you're just going to mute your chat entirely, which takes away the interaction that the viewers love from watching these streamers, it's going to be something that you can never entirely get rid of. And also let me know what you guys think the cringiest moment was from this stream. There's plenty to pick from, so definitely let me know what you guys think. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button, guys. It does the channel wonders. Guys, thank you guys so much for watching. The channel has been doing amazingly. We are growing exponentially, and honestly, it's all thanks to you guys. So I really want to let you guys know how grateful I am for you guys making this channel a part of your day, because it really does mean a lot. And I'm definitely looking forward to what you guys have to say on this situation. But I hope you guys love the video, and I hope to see you guys soon. I wonder if streamers have like Razzie Awards.